Yeah, the reason why you'll always see this in my pictures on Instagram but not in real life is because it doesn't fit me. It's too small, but I would look so cute in it. Anyway, hi, how are y'all doing? Good. Hope y'all had a very happy Thanksgiving. I had my Thanksgiving in Waffle House and I walked immediately into a domestic dispute. Shout out to you, Waffle House. You never disappoint, not even on the holidays. Classic Waffle House shenanigans. Anyway, so I have been living in the van for over 2 weeks now. So I feel like now I can accurately tell you what the differences have been between car life and van life. It has been an adjustment. I will say that for sure. I'm going to start with some quick facts about the van because I get a lot of questions over these and I want to get them out of the way. Number one, this is a 1990 GMC Safari. It's the exact same van as the Astro vans. It had about 143,000 miles on it when I bought it, which is really good for a 30-year-old car. I was looking at cars that were a lot newer than this car with more miles on them. So I feel like the mileage for its age is pretty good. I paid $2,800 for it. I think that was a very fair price. I was really happy with the price. I think I got a good deal, especially for the condition that it's in. I took it to the mechanic, you know, as one should do when you buy a car, and they said everything was golden on it. All I did was put air in the tires and I got an oil change. So it's not only physically kept in really good condition, but mechanically it was sound. Oh, and my van's name, I had named my van even before I got it. Her name is Stevie Ray Van. I thought of that all by myself. Just came to me in my head. I'm sure that I'm not the only person that has ever named their van Stevie Ray Van, but that did just come into my head. I didn't see it somewhere. I had seen Chevy Vetter, I think on Reddit, but Stevie Ray Van just came into my mind. So whatever. My van's name is Stevie Ray Van, and hopefully you understand that reference. And then the other question I get is, are you going to convert it? Of course, eventually I want to convert it. It's just that when I bought the van, I bought it because I had to live in it immediately. I had no place to stay in Arizona, and then I had no car because my car got totaled. So I bought it with the intention of just like moving right in. So right now I can't convert it while I'm living in it. But eventually, of course, I would love to make this more like a house. Okay, now to get on to the actual comparison. So I am a person who likes familiarity. Going from driving my tiny little subcompact car, which was small even for car standards, to driving this big old van was quite the change. And I'm the type of person who has just always loved small vehicles. Like my car was pretty small, but my dream car before I got into like adventuring and overlanding and all that stuff was actually like a Fiat or even a smart car. Until I learned that smart cars you're not supposed to take on the highway, and I love highway driving, so I was like, well, smart cars are out. I wanted a car even smaller than the car that I had. So for me to get a big vehicle like this was a huge change for me. The first few days, I did not love it at all. I was really scared to drive it. I was super timid. It felt like I was learning to drive all over again. And I really yearned for my car. I feel like with the response that I got on YouTube, I think people just automatically expected me to be like, oh my God, I have more space. I'm so happy. I'm in love. But like, it was not immediate love at first drive. This was like an arranged marriage. Like I have to grow to love Stevie, which I am doing slowly but surely, but it definitely wasn't immediate. So the first real difference that I noticed between my car and this van is not going to be shocking at all, but it is size. My car was a tiny little thing. This is a big old thing. In my car, when I would drive it, I could drive in really tight spaces. I can park in little tiny spots. I could whip around curves like a Tokyo drifter. Like I remember I would take my cars places in LA where the roads are really tiny and they're super packed, and I would just think there's no way I could ever drive a big vehicle here. But thankfully I don't need to think about that because I have a small vehicle. Times have changed. It took me a really long time to get used to driving my car because I've always been kind of an anxious driver, and that was my high school car. So it basically took me like 10 years to get used to driving that car. And then as soon as I felt really comfortable in it, it got totaled. So driving this van takes up a lot more space on the road than I'm used to. Thankfully, that hasn't been too big of an issue because I sit up really high in this van. It's like I'm a bus driver. Parking isn't really that difficult for me. However, backing up sometimes is. Obviously, a car this old does not have a backup camera. My car didn't have a backup camera either, so I'm used to parking without a backup camera. But it's just a lot wider and a lot longer than my car, so I have to get used to the feel of like how close I can get to other vehicles with it, and I haven't been that familiar with the car yet. And of course, going through tight spots is a bit more anxiety inducing just because I'm taking up more space. Going around turns in this van is so much different. Even just normal turns. If I'm stopped, you know, at a red light, if there's a car coming, usually in my car, I could go fast enough in front of the car that it wouldn't be an issue. But with this van, I don't go right on red unless there are like no cars coming, because it's so slow that when I turn into, you know, the lane, if there's a car behind me, they're going to be quite upset because I will be going very slow in front of them. Also, it's kind of rocky, much rockier than my car. In fact, even when I sleep and I turn, like the van is shaking. So I have to be really careful of not going too fast around turns as well, because it could tip. I didn't really have that issue with my car at all. So that's a big difference. Another thing about its size is that this van is slow. Kind of already mentioned that with going, you know, right on red, but just in general, the van doesn't really go that fast, and it takes a bit to accelerate. In general, I haven't been driving fast at all, which is nice because I know that I'm never going to get pulled over for speeding. Not that I ever have, but I definitely won't be now. It does make me kind of nervous to think about driving this car in a place where the drivers drive really fast and aggressive, like Los Angeles. I don't think I'm going to be taking this car anywhere near the LA area anytime soon for that reason. The great thing about this car's size is that I can take it a lot of places that my car could have never been before. For instance, right now, I've been camping out on BLM land, and the spots that I go are really secluded and nice because I can go in sand where it's all rough and there's like little shrubs and stuff. I can drive over all of that. So that's been really nice. The van is much higher, it's got bigger tires, and I feel powerful in it. Like I can just drive over anything. The positive side of having such a big vehicle is that I have more power. Number 2, the space. Okay, this is the one that I think most people are going to be like, yes, this is why you wanted a van. Yeah, pretty much true. If you're going to live in a vehicle, you want an adequate amount of space to live in it. It has so much space in here. Like, I can go to sleep and then get out of bed in the morning. Couldn't do that with my car. If I got out of bed, I was out of my car. But you know, the thing is, I never minded the amount of space that I had in my car. I thought it was really cozy and it was really comfortable. I designed it perfectly for me and it worked for me. I never really thought to myself, I want a lot more space. I think I wanted a bit more usable space because it was a car and it was a sedan. I couldn't go pee as well as I would have liked to, but that's basically the only thing that I wanted. I was never picturing myself having this much space. After having it for as long as I have now, it is really convenient, especially living out in a place like the desert where I'm just like wild camping, to have, you know, my bed area and then I can sit on the floor or have lots of space to pee. That is nice. But I like that I have different areas in my house now. Like I have my bed, I can come sit in the front seat, which is my throne. I used to be able to sit in the 2 back seats, but as you can see, I don't know if you noticed, but I took them out like yesterday to have more space because I couldn't access anything under the bed with them in. So I took my seats out. They're in storage with my bench seat now. I have a lot of space and that's cool. I feel like once I build it out, then I can really give the best comparison, because right now I just feel like I'm not utilizing the space as well as I could be because it's not built out yet. But I am currently living in here. So if I were to, you know, remodel and rip out and gut everything, I wouldn't have anywhere to live. So to be continued with that. Number 3, gas. Dios mío. I knew this van was not going to get as good gas mileages as I had in my car. Obviously, you know, it's a bigger vehicle. But the first time I filled up in this van, I thought that like the pump was broken or something, because I was expecting like, okay, you know, my car costs, when gas was high, like $30 to fill up. And that was a lot for me. So you can imagine my surprise when I went to fill up this van and it was at 50 and then it kept going. And I was like, wait, there's no way. Over $50 for a tank of gas. So I stopped it because I thought like the gas pump was scamming me or something. Like there's no way it could be over $50 for a tank of gas. Well, it was. I think it's because this van just has a bigger gas tank than mine. Like that's one of the reasons. Obviously it is just worse on gas. I don't know how many miles per gallon I actually get, but it's not as much as I used to get. I know that for sure. And that's okay. It's not necessarily that it's super expensive, because it is. It is. But right now, since I'm living in it, I don't have any rent costs. So gas is not that big of a problem with the price. What I don't like is that I have to stop for gas so frequently. I just don't like going to the gas station. I don't like getting harassed. I don't like, when I go inside, someone's always arguing with the cashier over like a Snickers bar. I don't really like that. Maybe I'm just not going to the best gas stations. That's also a possibility. Over here, we don't have Buc-ee's, So I'm not getting real high quality gas station experiences. So I guess this is going to be one of those things that I either get used to and I'm just like whatever about it, or I'm going to not. So those are the three main differences that I could think of so far. Again, I haven't actually fully converted my van yet. So, as far as livability, I don't know the full spectrum of how it could be in this van. Because right now I just have my bed. I don't have a little kitchen area, which I would like to make, or storage drawers. I think that would help a lot too. Because right now all I have is the storage that was in my car and it's shoved under this bed. So kind of inconvenient to get to right now. And honestly, I am still undecided on which I like more, van life or car life. I know that people were gonna assume that I just loved the van and was never going back, but that's not true. I've never liked big vehicles and I didn't mind the space in my car before. Honestly, and I've thought about this a lot now because I've had the van for a while. I do love that I can go more off-road places, but right now I still think I'm leaning towards car life because personally, I would rather have drivability, maneuverability, and better gas mileage than all this space that I don't really even need. Yeah, having a big bed is cool, but I'm just one person. Bed in my car was fine, and I'm not cooking in here, so there's really no differences between how I lived in my car versus how I lived in my van, except for now I'm lugging a lot more space around and it's costing me more. So I'm not totally sold yet, but there's a possibility that I could get super used to this van and then I'm gonna be like, oh, I could never go back to a smaller vehicle. But again, I know that that's what people would assume, but for me who's never liked big vehicles and who always have loved whipping around a small car, I don't know. I think a good happy medium would be something like a Ford Transit Connect, which is the van that I kind of wanted in the first place. I did want an Astro van as well, but now that I have one, I think that my true like happy medium, best of both worlds would be a Ford Transit Connect because it's car size, but you get a little bit more space because it's, they're cargo vans, so you have a bigger space inside to work with. But again, this is all just my first month, not even in the van perspective. It could change and I will let you guys know if it does. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that, and I hope that you're all doing well. First of all, I'm still excited to go adventuring in this van. I think it's gonna be great and I'll vlog them for you. But other than that, I got nothing else for you. So that is gonna be all for this week. I love you. Never forget that. Until next time. Bye-bye. Mwah.